Hey guys, so today I want to share with you one of my favorite recipes that I used to have growing up, and where better to do that than in the kitchen that I grew up in. So I'm back home in Chesapeake, Virginia this week for my birthday, and it's good to be back in the old kitchen, the old heart of the home. But anyway, today we're going to be making a cheesy jalapeno cornbread, and to do it, all you're going to need, don't tell my granny this, but we're using boxed mix. A splash of milk, about half a cup or so, 1 can of sweet cream corn style corn, that's like 15 ounces as well, and then a cup of sharp cheddar cheese. And the secret ingredient to make it all come together, jalapeños. Alright, so to get started, you're just going to open up your box, and you're going to empty both packets into your mixing bowl. Alright, so now we've got that, and we're going to add about a cup of shredded cheese. You can add as much or as little as you want. I'll add more later on. Then we're going to add the entire can of creamed corn. And this breaks up the texture a little bit, and it'll make it moist too. It's so delicious! Make sure you get every last bit out. And then you can go ahead and add about half a cup of milk or so. Depending on how creamy your corn is, that kind of sounds bad, you will add a little less or a little more milk. So I start by adding about 1/4 of a cup, or maybe a little bit more than 1/4 cup, and then just see where the consistency is, and if it's thick enough, it can never be too thick. Actually, it can when it comes to cooking. So you're just going to mix it all up. And then if it's too thick, you add a little bit more milk, but it's always easier to add more milk than to add too much and then have to start all over again. Perfect. So there we go. Here's our batter, ready to go, almost ready to go, because now we get to add a little kick. Alright, so I want to show you guys how to add the jalapenos to it. So to start, our jalapenos have been washed. You're going to cut off the top of it, and then you're going to cut lengthwise. I hurt my fingers, so I'm not curling my fingers under, don't worry. But you should always curl your fingers under because you'll cut them off. Anyways, so you see this white part in there. This white part in the seeds, that's where all the heat is at. So if you want to remove that, you will actually remove quite a bit of the heat. So I just took away a lot of the heat, and now we'll just have the flavor of the jalapeno with a little bit of heat to it. So just remember, the more white and the more seeds you leave, the hotter it'll be. Alright, so then you're going to take your pepper and you're going to lay it with the skin side down, and then you're just going to cut it right back like this into strips. And for this, it's really a matter of preference, how thick you want the strips to be, how big you want the chunks to be. I kind of like to have the pieces pretty large, so then I'm just going to go back and then cut across. Sorry, my knife is a little bit dull. And again, be careful with your fingers. I hurt mine, so I'm not doing it right, but you get the idea. So there's your pieces of jalapenos, and then you just, well, I didn't get them all, but throw them in, you're good to go. So we're going to do that to this one real quick. And then there's our jalapenos, and we're just going to mix it right in. And the batter's still just a little bit, or the mix is a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to add a splash more milk to thin it out a little bit. And then you just mix it up. Beautiful! And now we're ready to fill it into the pan. Alright, so now we're going to take our muffin tin. You can use a muffin pan if you want, or you can put it into one big glass container and then just cut it at the table. But I like to use the muffin tins just because it makes it a little easier, and you can just serve them out personally to everybody. But you're just going to be sure to spray them with some non-stick spray, because cornbread has a tendency to stick. Holla! So as you're filling the muffin tin, just be sure not to fill it all the way to the top. As you bake it, it will rise, and then if you have filled it too high, it'll overflow, and then they just won't look good, and they won't bake right. So just fill them about 2/3 of the way full, or thereabouts, full of the best results. Just to mix it up a little bit, I am also going to throw a little bit of cheese on the top of these before I put them in to bake. And it'll just kind of make them look kind of cool on top. It'll add some color and stuff like that. You don't want to add a whole lot, but I'll add a little bit more later on too, just so it can brown on top and it looks so good. Alrighty. So now our muffin tins are full and we are ready to bake this at about 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes or so. Alright, so it's been about 15 minutes or so since we put the cornbread in the oven. So now let's go ahead and take them out and see what we got. Holla! Alright. Check out this cornbread. This is hot. I don't know if you can see it smoking or not. Holla! Oh my gosh, it's so good. You can see there's corn in there, there's jalapenos, there's cheese. I'm burning my fingers, so I'm going to set it back down. But as I burn myself, I can't help but eat it because it's going to be that good. Well, it's good to be home. It's good to have one of my favorite comfort foods from back when I was a kid. And it's good to have you here in my mama's kitchen too. But I hope you all enjoy this jalapeno cheesy cornbread. And I'll see you next week for more Bites and Booze.